We're not live. Ah,
We are.
we
Hello.
are live now.
Welcome to this live session that will help you improve your English. If this is the first time you're watching, my name's Craig. If you don't know, I'm from the website mansioningles.com, where you can find free material to improve your English. And we also have a podcast, and you can find the podcast at inglespodcast.com. And with me, I'm delighted to say hello again to Lynne. Hi, Lynne.
Hello, Craig. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, you're excited about the football tonight. I'm asking Craig if he's all right because, of course, we English people are excited about the football, aren't we, Craig?
Very excited. And if you are an Italian person watching, maybe you're watching the replay on Facebook, congratulations on beating Spain yesterday. Well done. And I hope that England will meet you in the final. We will see. Very exciting.
Okay, so I'm Lynne, and what you can see on the screen there is putitlikethis.com. That's my website. That's my job. I'm an online teacher. Okay, shall we get going?
Yes, let's say quickly hello to people who are just joining us as we speak live on Facebook. Rafa, hello. Gemma, hi there.
Hi.
Alonso. Coque, hello, how are you? Natalia is with us. Nice to see you again.
Norma
also.
too. Norma was very punctual today. She was the first one in.
And Norma
Erica
was the first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi.
Thank
nice
you
to see you all again.
Thank you for joining us live. Hello, Fabiana. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Betty. If you're watching the replay after the fact, wherever you are in the world, thank you for watching. We hope you will find this session useful. And it is about phrasal verbs.
Phrasal verbs.
Panic, panic, panic.
Do you like phrasal verbs, guys? Do you like them? Are you fond of them? A lot of students don't like phrasal verbs, do they, Craig? They get frightened by them.
They think they were invented on purpose to confuse people learning English and make it more difficult. But Lynne, you've got some useful information about where phrasal verbs come from. So before we teach some phrasal verbs, why don't you tell us just quickly the history of them?
All right. Well, I think I've told this story before, so I'm sorry if you've heard this before. You might be hearing it again, but there might be some of you that don't know it. But, okay, where did phrasal verbs come from? Well, you know that English is Anglo-Saxon, they say, right? Anglo-Saxon. And the problem with English is that English is a hybrid of languages, because we have the modern day English, which is based on the Saxon language. And of course, we got the Saxon language from the Vikings and from the Danes who invaded England in history. But then in 1066, England was conquered by William the Conqueror, and he was a French king. And he ruled, the royalty in England for 300 years was French. And this caused a problem in the country, because the people who lived, the peasants, the people who lived on the street, the normal people, they spoke Saxon, but the court and all the aristocracy spoke French. And of course, in 1066, there weren't a lot of books. The books were very, very precious, so they were written by hand. And the books that existed, the written language was primarily written in either French, because only the rich people could have books, or Latin, which came with the influence of the church. Okay, so the only written word in Britain in English was actually, all writing was done in Latin or French. Now, this went on for 300 years. And then eventually, when the aristocracy reverted to speaking English, a lot of written language was already established in English, right? Now, the phrasal verbs are typical of Saxon languages. So this idea, if any of you speak German, you know that German, all the verbs like that are phrasal verbs. So they have a base verb and they have a preposition, right? And of course, the people who are from countries like Spain and France and Italy, they are all Latin-based languages, and Latin verbs you recognize them also in English sometimes. So you recognize a lot of verbs are similar to your own language, but they are the Latin-based verbs. Now, the problem with phrasal verbs is that even though it was a long time ago when all of this happened, normally to speak on the street, to speak the spoken language in English, has remained and continues to use phrasal verbs. But the written formal language continues to use Latin equivalents. And this is the big problem of people learning English, because they learn English in their home countries and they read a lot and they say, I understand English, but when I go to England, I don't understand a word. And that's because when they go on the street and they hear English people speaking like Craig and I, we are using phrasal verbs all the time.
Yeah.
But when we write anything or we give a class, then often we might not use the phrasal verbs. We might use the Latin equivalents. So
Exactly.
and that's where it comes from. So the problem with phrasal verbs is, even though you find them difficult, you cannot avoid them. If you want to speak English, you have to understand phrasal verbs.
And but the history is very interesting. But what Koke is saying, which is very true, it's very difficult to remember them. And Gemma is saying exactly the same. So hopefully here we'll be able to help you a little bit how you can remember some phrasal verbs by grouping them together by meaning. So,
and can I just mention before you introduce the first banner also? So the thing is with phrasal verbs is English people continue to invent phrasal verbs. And so you think, well, how can English people just make phrasal verbs up?
Make up,
and
that's a phrasal verb.
Yeah, make up. How do we invent? Invent is a Latin word. Make up is a phrasal verb, right? So how do we keep making up these phrasal verbs? And that's because we develop a feeling about the preposition. And we just add that preposition to existing verbs, and lo and behold, we have a new phrasal verb, right? Now, that's because those little words like up and over and out and on and down, you think you have to try to remember them. And this is where the mistake is. What I say to my students is, I want you to feel them. You need to start feeling the meaning of those little tiny prepositions. And what most students do is they focus on the verb, the first part of the verb. And then they think they just have to learn by heart, by rotation. They have to learn the preposition. And then that's when you get all mixed up.
Especially because very often you can't get the meaning of the phrasal verb, especially when it's idiomatic, from the main verb, because the combination of the verb and the particle, or the verb and the preposition, does not reflect the meaning of the verb.
Not at all. Right. So what we're trying to do today is we're going to tell you some general ideas behind, and we've just chosen up and down, the prepositions up and down. And so we thought we'll try to give you some of the feelings behind those little words. What do we mean when we mean up and down? And we'll give you some examples of phrasal verbs. And then hopefully you can go away and feel, get the feeling, get the vibe of the phrasal verb. Right. So do you want to start?
Yes. Well,
direction?
We're looking at direction. So that's the semantic group, the meaning group, the umbrella term of direction when you think of the direction of up, if you're a Spanish speaker, arriba, and down, bajo. So the first one we have is pick up.
But this one is this way, this feeling, like this. So it's not just like that. It's like this. Go on, Craig, do it. Go up. There you are.
I've picked up. I've gone all blurred, haven't I?
You've gone all blurred. You've knocked something.
That's weird. That's strange.
Sorry, too much movement. Sorry.
That's better. I've picked up my pen. So if you pick it up, obviously the pen is going from down to up. So the direction is to pick something up. Hacia arriba. Do you want to do the next one?
Yeah, and so then we have the word, for example, lift. We know the word lift. Well, we know it as ascensor, don't we? Like the lift in a house, the noun. But there is also a verb, which is to lift something. And if you lift something up, for example, if you have a tiny child, you would lift the child up. Yeah, I remember my daughters when they were very little, and that was the problem. I had 3, and they always wanted me to carry them, and they would say, lift me up, lift me up. And I said, I can't lift you up because there's 3 of you. I've only got 2 arms.
Of course, the opposite is put down, isn't it? So to put your child down, or to put your pen down, again, you're going in the direction of down.
And sometimes I would lift my child up when they were being naughty. And then they would say, put me down, which means they wanted to be released, to put them down.
Some more people have joined us. A quick hello to Christine, to Claucam, hello, to Braina, Siham, Johanna, Eva. Hello to everyone who's recently joined us on Facebook. Now, the next one we have is gather. And to gather, if you don't know, if you're not familiar with that word, it means to collect, perhaps with your arms. If you have lots of pens, for example, staying with the same example of pens, then you gather the pens up. So it's the idea of collecting them again in the direction of, but it's not really up, is it? It's more in the center.
But it's like this. Yeah, it's like gather up.
Especially if you gather up clothes from the floor.
And, exactly.
Yeah.
So gather up, and you've got this movement of up because you're trying to collect the things that are on the floor. And then we have look up. For example, you could look up to the sky. I was thinking of the Queen song. Can you remember the Queen song when he goes, look up to the sky and see? I'm just a poor boy. From Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
Look up to the sky and see. So when you're directing your gaze upwards, it's look up. Or maybe I'm working, or my students are working, and I want them to look at me, and I say, come on guys, look up. Can you look up from your paper?
Raise your eyes, lift your eyes.
Can you lift your eyes up?
And your head.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hang on, Lynn, hang on, Craig. Look up can mean to check something in the dictionary, because you can look up words, you can look up someone's telephone number. Yes, that's a problem we have with many phrasal verbs. They have multiple meanings. So we are aware that sometimes the meaning does not reflect the individual meaning of the words. However, today we're concentrating and focusing only on this idea of direction. So we're only looking at one main use, or one use of each phrasal verb. Just a quick comment from Gemma, going back to gather. To gather up will be recoger in Spanish. Absolutely right. That's what it means. To gather up your things, to gather up your clothes. And get up. Sorry, Lynn, you're going to say something?
No, that's great. And get up, of course, is what you do in the morning when you get out of bed and you stand up. That is to get up. You're lying down and then you get up, which is like when you stand up, of course, like that as well. So you've got this direction behind them.
What time do you usually get up, Lynn?
Oh, I at 6:30 or 6:45. What about you? What time do you get up, Craig?
About 8 o'clock, 8:30.
Well, that explains why I'm looking at the moment 10 years older than you.
No, that's not true.
Yes, it's true, because I've been up so long.
You were looking 10 years older when you had standard definition on your camera at the beginning when we connected. When you changed it to good quality high definition, it took 10 years off you. Now that we can see you clearly.
Great. Okay.
So again, that's the idea of direction, especially going up. Pick up, lift up, gather up, look up, get up, hacia arriba. Let's look at another concept, another idea, which is completion, the idea of completing something, the sense of finality that we have with these phrasal verbs, because you eat food, right? You eat your breakfast, you eat your lunch, you eat your dinner. But if your mum says, eat up your vegetables, she really means complete eating, finish everything.
Finish everything.
Finish everything. So that idea of up, it's not direction, it's completion. It's making something final.
And this sense, so this is what we're trying to say to you, is that the word up previously has this direction, but it also has the feeling of finishing something, as Craig has said. So we've got eat up the vegetables, but we also have clear up. So imagine you're eating your dinner and there's 5 of you around the table and you have the plates and things, and then you've eaten up your dinner, and then the next thing you have to do is to clear up the mess. So you say, come on, who's going to clear up now? And I say that to my children, and then they take turns, and one of them has to clear up and take everything to the kitchen and put the things in the dishwasher, right? So to clear up means clear the table, empty the table completely. And that is to clear up. Okay. Also, we use that word metaphorically. If you have a problem, I can say, I can help. I can try to clear up your problems with phrasal verbs. And what I mean by trying to clear up means to clarify or to solve. But with the word up, I mean completely. I'm not just trying to explain them. I'm trying to clear them up, which means completely. I want to clarify completely your problem. Okay. What have we got?
Well, the next one is quite confusing for Spanish speakers, because there are 2 verbs. There's the full verb, the principal verb, the main verb to grow, crecer. And an English speaker would probably use that when they're speaking about plants and flowers and trees. Lots of lovely flowers grow in my garden. When you talk about people, you often use the phrasal verb to grow up. And there's that idea of completion and finality, because you are an adult. You have grown up to here. Where did you grow up? I grew up in the UK. So I finished growing. I reached my height when I was, 16, 17. So to grow up has that idea of finality. Be careful of the past because it is irregular. So grow up, grew up, grown up with an N.
And we also use it, even though amongst adults. And for example, if Craig is being silly, I'll say, oh, come on, Craig, grow up. Right? Which means be mature. Okay. And again, it's that idea of the sense of finality. You still haven't grown up, grow up. Which means act more maturely.
Yeah, I'm often being told that. People often tell me that.
I was just using it as an example. I didn't
No,
mean
it's
it.
very true though. It's very real. Klaucam has a lovely example. I never ate up my food when I was a child, and extra points for using the correct past of to eat. Ate up. Very good.
I never ate up my child.
And Juan saying finishing or starting, hurry up. Is that completion? It's not, is it? Hurry up means go quicker, go faster. But there's no idea of completion there.
Completion, no. Yeah.
So that doesn't fit.
That doesn't fit
group.
Quite like that. But hurry up is definitely a phrasal verb. Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Absolutely.
Come on, Lynn, hurry up. What's the next one?
All right. Next one. Right. The next one is to sum up. Now, you might know this if you've been learning how to write essays, because it's a linker and they say to sum up, which means in conclusion. Yeah. So to sum up means to conclude. Okay. And at the end of this class, usually Craig and I, at the end of these lessons in the last minute, we try to sum up and we review the words that we have taught you during, or the vocabulary that we taught you during the lesson. Okay? Fill up.
Fill up. For example, if you have a bottle of water and you're going out for a walk, it's very hot at the moment here in Valencia, Spain. So it's important to fill up the bottle with water, to put water in until it is full. So this idea of filling up is completing, so there's no more room. The same thing when you put petrol in your car. You might say to the attendant in the petrol station, fill it up, or fill her up. If you think of your car as a man or a woman, fill him up, fill her up, which means put petrol in the tank until there is no more room. And you can also feel full up yourself if you eat too much food.
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
And when you're full up, so especially at dinner, if you go to dinner with people and they offer you more food, would you like more? And you say, no, sorry, I'm full up. I'm full up. And that means that it's the final. I can't have any more food because I haven't got any more space. I'm full up. Thank you. Okay. Yep. So we always say up. Yeah. All right. I'm full up. Thank you. Then
Elizabeth's saying summarize. So that would be sum up. Yes. Sum up is to summarize. Exactly.
Absolutely. And then we have this verb, for example. This is how English people start getting creative. And they say, I want to, if I won the lottery, see if you can understand what I'm saying, what sell up means. If I win the lottery, I'm going to sell up and move to Africa because I love Africa and I want to live there. Now, to sell up, yeah, absolutely. I'm still playing the lottery, though I haven't won yet. Right. So what does sell up mean in that sense, do you think? Can maybe anybody know? If I say I want to sell up and leave. And if you think of this idea of sense of finality, completion, I don't know if anybody can guess I'm trying to challenge you a little bit now to see if you can understand what to sell up means. Anybody?
My parents sold up and came to Spain.
Did they? My parents sold up and moved to New Zealand.
No volunteers.
No volunteers. Vender.
Coque says vender. Yes, but it's more than that, Coque. It's more than vender. It's vender todo. It's sell everything. Your house, your bicycle, your car, everything you own. Your business, if you have one, everything, your furniture, sell everything and move. If you sell up, there is nothing left. Again, the idea of completeness and finality.
Okay. Like everything and finish the job. Yeah, that's right. Natalia and vender todo. Perfect.
Exactly.
Okay. And then we have, how did that creep in there? Close down.
Closed down. Is that not supposed to be there?
I don't know. You put it there, didn't you? Go on, you explain it.
Well, thank you, Lynne. Well, if you sell up your business, then you're going to close down. It is finality because if you have a shop and your shop is open 6 days a week from 9 to 5. You close your shop at 5 p.m. but the next day you open it again at 9, and then you close at 5 p.m. and then you open it again at 9.
And you can close up. What time are you closing up tonight?
Yes, but that's not the idea. But that's not the idea.
Well, is it the opposite of close down, isn't it? Or not?
Well, no. If you close up, Lynne, you're not helping.
Sorry.
If you close up your shop, then you're closing up for the day. So there is that idea of completion. Tell me if you disagree.
No,
if
I
you
agree.
Close up, you close up for the day. You're not closing for lunch. You're closing up and going home. Finished. If you close down, it's more final. There's more finality. You're closing down forever. You're selling everything in the shop and you're closing it. You no longer have the business. It's finished. So
Okay.
if you see a closing down sale in the window of a shop in the UK, that means they are closing the shop and everything is reduced in price. It's cheaper because they are closing down. And that idea of down is finality.
As well. Yeah. You put that in. Liquidate.
Christine has said in one word what I'm trying to explain in half an hour. Thank you, Christine.
All right. Now we're going to stick with this idea of completion.
Juan's leaving us. He's got to go.
Juan's
Bye-bye,
leaving us.
Juan.
Oh, sorry. Thanks. Okay. So we're going to stick with the idea of completion. So then we have the idea of course, we have the word to tear. To tear. And if I do, let me just find something. There you are. Oh, we're all both doing it, right? So if we tear up, then it's final, isn't it? So if we put to tear up something, it means to destroy something completely, rather than tear. So you see, you can say, please, did you tear the paper? But in that, you can say that's formal, you can write it. But in spoken English, people say, he tore it up. And it adds so much more emphasis, so much more feeling when we say he tore it up.
He tore it completely. Yeah.
He tore it up, which means he tore it completely. All right. Now, we have many other verbs which we haven't put on here, but I'll just mention them because you'll see. We can have sweep up, the action of to sweep, which is when you have a brush and you are taking off the dirt of your floor, right? To sweep. What's that? Barrer, isn't it?
Barrer,
in Spanish,
yeah.
Barrer, to sweep. But we say, I'm going to sweep up, which means I'm going to clean the floor and get all the dirt up. It's also got that meaning as well of picking everything up. I'm going to sweep up. Have you swept up yet? Okay, as we often say. We say as well, wash up. I'm sure you know that. Yeah, so wash up. You are so northern.
Yeah, that's what I'm laughing. That's what I'm laughing at. Yeah.
Now, Tashina, shut up.
Shut up means stop talking completely. Another example.
She's telling me to stop. It's true, Tashina. I am northern. I am. Okay. And when we are, I was back to sweep up. And then I said, of course, we can say wash up. Go and wash up the dishes. Now, it's not the movement up, but it's the idea of completely clean them so that they're clean. Wash up the dishes. And you all know the word washing up, I think. Yep. We can say finish up. Are you going to finish up this now? Which means completely. To finish something completely. Okay. And we also have the word wake up. Are you going to wake up? Because you can say the verb wake. But we say, what time do you wake up? And it means to be awake completely. Okay. So that's where those verbs come from. Tashina's from Liverpool. Aha. I'm not from Liverpool, Tashina. I'm from the other side of England, but about the same level. I'm from Sunderland, Newcastle on the East Coast, but I am northern. Mm-hmm.
Hi, Tashina. One or two questions I'd like to address before we move on. CloudCam saying, do you close down when you sell out? No. Let's imagine, CloudCam, I have a pen shop. And all my blue pens I have sold. So I've sold out of blue pens. However, I still have red pens. So I don't need to close down my shop. I'm still in business. I have red pens. However, I've sold out of blue pens. Agotado in Spanish, if you're a Spanish speaker. So it's not the same thing. And Christine, you don't tear your heart, you break someone's heart. So tear is what Lynne did with the paper, but the collocation for your heart is to break. Don't break my heart would be the collocation.
Hearts are three-dimensional, Christine.
Sometimes.
We tear things that are like one-dimensional, like sheets of paper, but hearts are bigger. So we break hearts.
Yeah.
Okay. But here's some more verbs for you, because of course we have break up a relationship. They broke up. And that means the sense of finality as well. No? They broke up, which means it's not that they broke physically, but they broke up means the relationship stopped and it was final.
Also, split up has the same meaning.
Split up with couples before they get divorced. It's usually that they split up, which means that they are no longer together. Okay,
let's. Any more, Lynn, before we move on from completion? The idea of completion?
No, we can finish up this idea of completion.
So we've finished up completion. Let's move to increasing and decreasing, or going up and going down. That will be the phrasal verb. So you can say that my shares have increased, or the prices have increased, or they have gone up, or they have decreased, they have gone down. So that's very clear, that preposition or those prepositions with that phrasal verb, there's a clear indication, a clear sign of movement, increasing, decreasing, going up and going down.
You've put another one in there to make it more complicated. You've put spread out in there.
Spread out. Well, that's increasing, isn't it? If you spread out your things on the table, you're increasing the space on your desk or on your table. You spread out your papers.
But the direction without is that direction. Whereas
but it's
the
increasing.
Direction with is up and down.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, you're right. Shall I take it out?
Yeah, I think you should take it out because I think you're confusing everybody.
You're right, Lynn.
So I'll keep on while he's taking it out. I will keep on with go up and go down. So we can talk about prices going up and going down. You can also talk about the volume of your music. Turn it up, turn it down. And that was when we had if you think of a stereo, to turn up means to increase the volume, to turn down means to decrease the volume. Okay. You can also, if you think of a ladder, you climb up the ladder and you climb down the ladder. You climb up the stairs and you climb down the stairs. That's a little bit like increasing in height and decreasing, I suppose, or it's also direction like we had before. Any more? Yes. Heat up. Heat up. I don't know if people can understand that. Are you going to heat up or are you going to warm up your dinner in the microwave? Warm up your dinner, or heat this up, please.
Increase the temperature.
Increase the temperature of the food. All right. So maybe you come home and you have bought something from the Chinese takeaway, and you get home and it's cold, and you say, "Oh, can you please go and warm that up for me?" Which means, can you increase the temperature? And then opposite would be to cool something down. To cool something down.
There's one thing I want to add that's quite interesting, I think, comparing the phrasal verb stand up or go up or climb up with the idea of a Spanish person saying voy a subir arriba, because subir in Spanish is always up, isn't it?
That's right.
You can't subir abajo. So,
No.
But you add that word arriba, even though you don't really need it. I don't know if that helps. I just find it very interesting that you can stand, but stand up has that idea of...
You know what I think that is? I don't know this, everybody, but this is just me, pretending to know. But I think that, you see, when in Spanish, when they say subir arriba, they are putting emphasis on that. You wouldn't write that. You would say that in spoken English. That is the Spanish people trying to have English phrasal verbs.
Interesting.
No, it isn't, of course, because it's Spanish. But the thing is, what I'm saying is that when you add that word arriba, it gives more emphasis. And this is what people do in spoken language. They try to emphasize things because it makes us more interesting, right? We don't want to sound like robots, right? Repeating something from a written word. So when we speak, we try to add some things to our language to make it more emphatic. Now, you can do that in Spanish by adding the word arriba, but in English, this is happening all the time with phrasal verbs. This is why we've never eliminated them, right? Of course, it makes the language more complex. Even for our children learning English, it makes it more complicated because there's so many words, but we do it, and that's what makes our language colorful. It gives it personality, I think, and emphasis.
Tashina's saying the conversation heated up. Yes, it got more heated. It increased
in intensity.
Intensity, exactly. That's a good example. Okay, so let's move on to the next group, which is sudden action.
Sudden action.
Suddenly, this banner, this text popped up on the screen. It appeared suddenly.
And often on the internet, you get these windows that suddenly pop up on
they're so annoying. I hate pop-ups. They're really annoying.
Yeah.
Do you use a pop-up blocker to block your pop-ups? Your ad?
I haven't got that far yet, no. But maybe I should. I think you can do that. There's something that you can do, can't you, to stop pop-ups?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can also bring something up. Now, this is a bit trickier, this one. To bring something up in conversation. So, for example, we can be talking about something, and Craig and I, and maybe it's let's imagine that we have a Spanish friend with us tonight. We haven't told everybody, but we're stopping the class 10 minutes early today, everybody, because we want to see the football. Was that a good opportunity to bring that up in the conversation now?
I thought you brought that up at exactly the right place
moment
in the conversation. Right? You brought it up exactly when you should bring it up. Yeah.
All right. So I hope you're still following, everybody. We haven't lost you. So to bring something up in the conversation means to suddenly approach a topic in the conversation. I brought it up. Now, I brought that up, but it is true. We are actually stopping the class 10 minutes early because England is playing. So we have to see the UEFA Cup. So at 10-2, everybody, I'm afraid we will be disappearing. I'm very sorry about that.
Yeah, we have to go and support our countries.
We do.
One more thing that I don't know if you noticed, to sidetrack for a second, which is to go off on a tangent. Lynne just put the object in the middle between the verb and the preposition. She said, bring it up. You can do that sometimes. You can put the object or the object pronoun, in this case, it, in the middle. So Lynne could say, bring the football up as a subject, or bring it up. Do you think I brought it up at the correct time? And you can also put it after the preposition, but not when it's an object pronoun. So Lynne can say, bring up the football, but she cannot say, bring up it. So that it must go in the middle between the verb and the particle.
Bring it up. That also makes phrasal verbs tricky. Phrasal verbs often, I think there are clearly two stages when you're learning English, right? The first stage is that you have to understand phrasal verbs. This is what helps you when you make a trip and you go to England and you listen to native speakers. This is what is going to help you actually understand English, as opposed to the English that you learn in your home country with books, because when you're looking in books, you're reading the written language, okay? And the written language will be using the Latin equivalents often, okay? So the first stage for all learners is you have to just try to learn them, try to understand the feelings. This is why we're trying to teach you the feeling of that preposition, because often with the context, you will understand it. The second phase is actually to use the phrasal verbs, and that can be quite tricky because of the things that Craig has just said, because sometimes the word order is complicated. Sometimes the phrasal verb itself has multiple meanings in different contexts. And so it can be a little bit tricky, but you have to just go step by step. And I think the very first thing is to try to get a hold of understanding them, because this is what's going to help your listening comprehension. All right.
Exactly.
And then the more you hear them, the more you kind of begin to develop an ear for what sounds right. Yeah. And that's the way to approach it, I think.
There's some lovely comments coming through in the live chat at the moment. Tishina's going back to the first phrasal verb. He popped up out of the blue. He suddenly appeared. Good example.
Great
Natalia
example.
says in her native language, you don't have phrasal verbs. No, not many languages do. You just use different words.
Well, the Germanic languages all do, yeah. Danish.
Do they? I didn't know.
The Saxon languages have phrasal
German
verbs.
too.
I don't know where, and German is full of phrasal verbs. I don't know who said that, Natalia. I don't know where Natalia's from. I don't know what your native language is, Natalia. Maybe you can tell us. But it's true. I'm sure that there are many, many languages in the world that don't have phrasal
So,
verbs.
yeah, Christine's given us a definition in Spanish of bring up. Of course, many of these phrasal verbs do have other meanings, because you can bring up children, which means crecer, to raise them. So
that's the completion. That's completion.
Completion, yeah.
Bring up the children means to educate them to completion, to adulthood. That means to bring up the children. But this is a sudden appearance in the conversation, brings something up.
Anne's got a lovely example. Don't tear yourself up about it. It wasn't your fault. No haces daño a tú mismo in Spanish. Don't punish yourself about it.
We also use the verb there. Who was that? Anne. We say beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up about it, which means exactly the same as tear yourself up about it. You see how the English people, they just invent them. They put the up with the beat or the tear. It depends what kind of feeling you want to have. Don't beat yourself up. Don't tear yourself up. So
and
you
finally,
can put it with other things.
And finally, Klaukam said, one small correction with this, Klaukam. It's better not to bring up chocolates to our conversation. And you can also put that subject in the middle. Bring chocolates up or bring them up. When it's plural, you need the plural pronoun.
Don't bring them up. That's right.
Don't bring them up because I'm on a diet. Now, to show up means to appear. If you show up suddenly at a party when you're not invited, you suddenly appear. Guess who showed up at the party? It was Jonathan. We didn't invite him. He just showed up. He appeared. So a sudden action, somebody appearing without warning, showing up at an event or at a party, for example.
And then we had the idea of break up and split up. Now, I mentioned it earlier for completion, but it also has that feeling of suddenly they broke up. You never guess. You never guess who broke up. Can you remember Mary and Paul? They broke up.
No,
who
really?
Would have thought? Who would have thought after all those years they broke up?
I can't believe they've split up. That's amazing. What a shock.
Okay. Now, when we say that, we are conveying both feelings. We're conveying the idea that it was sudden and that also that it was final. Okay? All right.
And this is a phrasal verb that maybe you're not familiar with. When you put somebody up or you are put up by somebody for the weekend or for the night, then that has more of an idea of improvisation, something that's not necessarily planned or booked like a hotel. Imagine
You better explain. It means to give somebody a bed for the night.
Imagine you're
If
going
you
to
didn't know
Madrid
that. Mhm.
and you know somebody in Madrid and you phone them, say, hey, I'm coming to Madrid tomorrow. I don't have a hotel booked. Can I stay at your flat? Can I stay at your house? Can you put me up for the weekend? Can I sleep in your house?
Mm-hmm.
So that's also the idea of improvisation, quite a sudden action. And it's a very informal way of saying, can I sleep in your house?
Oh, can
for
I
the
stay
night?
with you? Can I stay with you? But stay is more permanent, isn't it? It's for like a longer, more planned. I have some friends and they're coming to stay with me. But if I say I had a friend and I put him up last night, the idea is, oh, it was sudden. You weren't expecting it. It was because he missed his plane and he needed a bed. Mm-hmm.
So you might say, for example, when my friends came, they stayed in the spare room. But when my friend arrived drunk one night and he couldn't drive home, I put him up on the sofa. So it's a lot more informal, it's a lot more temporary, and it's a lot more sudden and improvised.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And then we also have the word speak up. So we've got this idea of speak up. Now, again, I think I put this with sudden action. You do realize, everybody, that we're not grammar specialists, right? We're just making this up as we're going along. No, we're not. We do know a little bit about it, but this is the way I like to teach it. Yeah.
Is that sudden action? Make up? We're making this up as we're going along. If
we're making it up. Yeah, we are inventing it. You're inventing
immediately,
immediately spontaneous. Yeah.
Yeah.
And speak up, I think, is when you're having a conversation and somebody you suddenly speak up, which means that we do this for a cause. For example, I'm going to speak up about human rights, which it doesn't mean I'm going to speak at length about human rights, but it means suddenly I'm going to make people listen to me. I'm going to speak up about it. And it's like a sudden intervention, isn't it? He spoke up at the conference. It was kind of a little bit unexpected. It suddenly happened. He spoke up.
Of course, it always also has the meaning, apart from that, of speaking
louder,
more intensely, and that idea of up as a direction in volume. So if you turn up, turn down, speak up, you're speaking loudly with more volume.
Mm-hmm. Yes, if I have students in a group, which I don't actually have anymore because I only teach online now. But when I used to have a classroom full of students, maybe some students were giving me an answer, but people at the back of the class couldn't hear them. And then I would say, can you speak up so your colleagues can hear you? Speak up, which means speak more loudly. That is increase the volume. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the other example, if I say, I want you to speak up for yourself, which means I want you to defend your cause. This is the sudden action. The idea is speak up for human rights or for women's rights or whatever.
We only have 1 more minute, so we'll go back to the beginning and quickly review or go over, to use a phrasal verb, go over the groups we've spoken to so far. The first one was direction, so going up or going down, picking up something, picking up your children, for example, lifting up, raising, hacia arriba, to gather up in your arms. If you have clothes on the floor, you gather up the dirty washing. And look up, obviously, up to the sky, and you get up in the morning, which is also the idea of going in the direction of up.
Mm-hmm. And then we have up meaning completion or a sense of finality. So eat up your vegetables means finish your vegetables. Clear up the table means please can you completely empty the table. Grow up means be an adult or you reach maturity. To sum up is to summarize, please finalize everything. To fill up means to fill the bottle to the top. To replenish would be the Latin verb. To sell up means to sell everything. Sell everything, your house, your clothes, everything, your car. Close down was another one that Craig put in to confuse us.
To confuse you. It works. It kind of.
And then tear up, which means to completely destroy something.
And the next category we had was the idea of increasing and decreasing. Prices, for example, have been going up recently. Unfortunately, salaries have not been going up with inflation. In some cases, they have been going down. The idea of going up and down for increasing and decreasing. Of course, you stand up. That's the idea of increasing your height, and sit down on the chair. So please sit down, have a seat.
And then we have the sudden action. So pop up, suddenly appears. Bring up means to raise a topic in a conversation very suddenly. To show up means to appear suddenly. To break up or split up means it happens suddenly. The relationship broke, or the people separated, but it's got that idea of suddenness as well. So it's completion and suddenness. To put somebody up for the night means to give somebody a bed, but it's a spontaneous action sort of thing. And to speak up here can be if you speak up for something and it was unexpected. It's got that idea of suddenness or spontaneousness. But of course, there's another meaning of speak up, which means speak louder, which is increase the volume. Okay. Right.
We do have more groups, but we don't want to confuse you. And in 5 minutes, the football match is starting. So we do have to go.
We have to finish up. We have to shut up.
And as Falcon said, we summed up quite well. So I think we summed up those phrasal verbs nicely. Thank you very much for watching. We hope that was useful for you and you have a clearer idea of those 4 groups of phrasal verbs. Before we leave you, we'll quickly remind you where we're from and where you can get in touch with us. Lynne?
Okay, yeah. So I'm from putitlikethis.com. I'm an online teacher and I tailor-make courses for my students. For whichever needs you have, I create and design a course especially for you. If you're interested, go to Put It Like This and you can see my website.
And for free courses and lots of other material, go to mansioningles.com. We also have a store where you can buy courses and material for download. And we have a weekly podcast every Sunday at inglespodcast.com or wherever you listen to your audio content. Thanks again for joining us. It's been a lot of fun and we'll be back again next week, won't we, Lynne? Monica's on holiday, so Lynne is kindly covering for Monica while she's away.
Stepping in, so I'm back again next week, and I think the next week after as well, aren't I? And then I'm going on holiday.
Then we're all going on holiday.
Then we're all going on holiday.
Have a good week, everyone. See you again soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.